Paloma Piazzuloga from Complutense University, together with Bimba and Dominguez. We're going to present people in the center, this fabulous fashion sector and its effort to evolve towards a more sustainable business. So, Gemma, please.
Let me start with the first approach to the Spanish fashion sector with some of its numbers. Well, as you can see, the Spanish fashion industry represents 2.8% of our GDP, and that is now 8.6 of our country's workforce. Besides 80.7, that is a figure of the wholesale and distribution, the fashion in our country. 8.9% belongs to the country works, and 8.4 belongs to the country's economic total for sales. But just to give you a sense of equivalence, in other countries, for example, such as Italy, the GPD is of 6%, 3.1 in France. And in terms of jobs, in Italy, the fashion industry generates 2 million jobs. That is also in France, 600,000 people and 800,000 people in the UK. Regarding the wealth that generates in other countries in comparison to Spain, in Italy, for example, the wealth of fashion industry is 52 billion euros annually and 29 billion euros in the UK. So as you can see here, you have the main countries for the fashion industry world, and France and Italy would be the first ones, followed by the US, UK, and Spain in the fifth place. So let me show you the biggest fashion players in Spain. You know, Inditex is the number one, followed by Mayoral. Also Tendam, where we chose that maybe you know because it is the jewelry and accessories brand. Mayoral, that is kidswear. Desigual, and Sociedad Textil, Lonia, Textil, that is the group that is in charge of the design and distribution of the ready-to-wear division of Colombia. And Bimba. And for example, unlike other countries in Spain, we are not focused on luxury, we are focused on high street retail. So our brands, some of these brands sometimes have the luxury chain very delocalized. For example, Inditex has suppliers in 40 different markets.
Maximum. Yeah.
That is one of the brands of Inditex. And so let's begin. Yeah, okay. So, as you know, in recent years, we have witnessed a constant, sometimes quite strict European sustainable regulation. Some of these regulations are referring to materials processes, communication and distribution of fashion documents. Others referring to circularity or the extent of producer responsibility. Also referring to people, to own workers and those within or suppliers, and some certifications. But it's important to mention that due diligence, that is the protection of guarantees of human rights and respect for the environment throughout the entire supply change. And while some actors are asking for laws that are not only their own brands, but also companies and those that produce, manufacture, or distribute fashion from other countries also to apply these new regulations. So this is saying the actual fashion industry in Spain is based on fighting that personal interview with sustainable managers and directors from Inditex, Tendam, Lola, and of course this. We are travel meetings with sustainable managers from Inditex, Tendam, and of course this. The analysis of the sustainable annual reports, and also the participation in the periodic meetings of the Spanish Social Forum of the fashion industry. So we can confirm that the Spanish travel sector is working really hard to achieve all these development requirements. Even if the society does not fully require them, but they are really hard to get things done. Here you have some very well-known brands nationally and also internationally. And we can confirm that these brands are committed with the transformation of processes and practices. So, from a systemic point of view, Inditex is putting in the center the workers. So, in this way, you can see that health and human prosperity are independent and go hand in hand because all human beings depend on the environment in which we live. And a safe, being healthy, and sustainable environment is integral to the full enjoyment of a wide range of human rights, including the rights of to life, health, food, and water and sanitation. So, as I told you before, Inditex is putting the consumer in the center because this way they can think about design, production, logistic, and store both offline as a whole in a frame of transparency, innovation, integration, creativity, and sustainability and flexibility. And all go hand in hand together with the result of a positive impact, environmental value plus social value, economic value, and value creation together with these all these stakeholders. And here that's the project that names this research that is works in the center from Inditex. And here you can see the journey of this project that now has on more than 20 years, 24 years, in fact, it started in 2000. And you can see here all the certifications and skills they have achieved during this period. I don't know if you want to go into detail of all of these certificates or things. Yeah, but you can see here like an overview year by year with all these achievements of certifications and skills in the text.
Yeah, if you are familiar with them, you can recognize because they are very well known that they're into the United Nations Women Global Compact, Accord, Act, another Accord notification. They have been updating the notification because they didn't really last forever. You have to update it every 2 years. So they have almost every international and local certificates that they get. Okay, so one of the first findings that we have found doing this research, especially in the Spanish companies that we have interviewed, is that there is a common conviction that the Spanish fashion industry ensures that the worker must be in the center. So it's a common conviction not only in Inditex, but also in Tendam, El Corte Inglés, Mango, in all of the brands that we have researched. So all the sustainable departments have been created at the beginning of the 20th century. They all share the same systemic concept of sustainability that is based on people. So they actually put people in the center. Work is in the center is the mantra that Inditex has, but it's also served by the other big groups that we have researched. And of course, this concept about profit, planet, and people, or people, planet, and profit. They call it people, planet, and product. Some of them, like Mango, for instance, but they all put people at the beginning of this hierarchy. So what we have, I'm going to start with product, just analyzing how they just work the concept of innovations in its area. So in the area of product, for instance, they all follow these steps, like give it back to the look. That means design environments that with a single type of fabric or footwear accessories just to facilitate recyclability, extend the life of garments, focusing on durable products, using more lasting materials and no waste, of course. Completed in the effort of optimizing the use of raw materials and the using of textile waste. Another example is, for instance, this initiative of Para perhaps you know it, is pre-owned, repair, resell, and donate. It was created at the beginning of the year 2023, and it's doing very well. You can find it in just in the homepage of Zara. But then, for instance, in the Corte Inglés is our main department store in the country, and almost the only one. They own more than 65 fashion brands. It's a gateway for the most foreign luxury brands that are coming from other countries, so in Spain. And it's very important. It plays an important role for the tourists. You know that Spain is the second most visited country in the world, just after France, with 85 million tourists. So not the online, but the online store, the physical buying is very important. And for this reason, they pay huge attention to the packaging and to the use of bags and everything. They are very aware of the help that certification give to the consumer's decision on value. And they just work very hard on this with a lot of certification. We can go further if you want more information about this. We have all the certification that they have been getting in this field. Then, secondly, referring to the planet, they are working very hard, of course. I think that every single player, at least in Europe and the US, and it's sustainable cotton, recycled polyester, cellulose fibers, just to get in just a year. 100% of the garments made with sustainable fabrics, cotton, polyester, and cellulose. And this is something that it's already gained because they have been working for more than almost 30 years. But at the center of this work is people. So we focus on how they are really working in this factor. Because, for instance, in Pakistan, Turkey, and China, they have been working for more than 20 years in some cases with huge factories, and they work together with them like real partners. And sometimes working conditions are really hard in these countries, but they just get to work with the providers that respect, the legislation even further than that. So we have work with Inditex. So they have explained to us how they work with Moroccan factories and their workers, because most Moroccan women, for instance, have never had a blood test in their lives. So Inditex has promoted this and other health tests to the majority of its workers. And in Turkish factories, most workers of the Turkish factories come from Syria. And due to the war, they have more than 3 million refugees in this country. So Inditex works to offer the same rights to all workers, salary, health insurance, and unionization, starting with helping Syrians to obtain residency documents, because some of them really are mentioned about immigrants and they don't have those. In some South African countries, children of workers are unable to receive education due to their parents' working hours. So Inditex supervisors try to identify these and other problems and help workers to solve them in different ways. For instance, starting small schools closer to their home and work places. And then in Bangladesh, labor union is an unreal right for most workers, and Inditex encourages the creation and participation of workers in its type of institutions, which are really important for safeguarding their rights. Mango and Tendam are also following the same order, is factors that's putting people before the other elements. Just it could be because they have already worked hard in the environmental the origin of the product thing, but as I mentioned, they have been also working in people for more than 20 years. And it's important to remember that in working in the textile sector in some countries is the only way for women to avoid to live in the streets, ending working in prostitution. So Inditex is really aware of this fact. They they mention in concrete this fact. So it's also a way of giving possibilities and offering real possibilities of changing lives. But I mean, also comes out the question about how are civil society and industry responding to address the issue of sustainability. In Spain, we actually have three big players in this social arena that are the Social Forum of the Spanish fashion industry, the Textile and Fashion Spanish Observatory, and the Spanish Association for the Management of Textile Waste. Let's say that the three of them are working, I mean, specifically in the social dimension of the fashion industry, especially the first one, that was the one that we attended to the meetings, and it's a forum where the industry players can talk together. They sit together, I mean, the labor unions, the NGOs, the consumer associations, the circularity companies, together with the fashion companies and universities, and try to solve and put solutions to the main problems that the sector is facing. The second one is just integrated by companies like Inditex, Mayoral, and Tendam, and their main function is to represent these organizations before national and European public administrations and try to look after favorable development of the companies and trying to solve face different situations that they face. And then the third one, they look after creative solutions for the textile waste. Is integrated also for the big players, but also for international players like H&M, IKEA, and Sprinter. And Decathlon, of course, is one of the biggest retailers in our country. And then, we have the circularity, pre-owned the area that is like the circularity that has both social and environmental impact, and is like an extension of this idea that Gemma mentioned at the beginning, the collective system of extended responsibility of the waste producer. That is a huge topic now in Europe. So we have 6 players in the country, but the main one is Mayoral. It represents more than the 40% of the textile waste in recycled process in the country. So it's a solidarity project of Caritas and Organization of the Catholic Church that has a social but also professional core and employs more than 1,400 people. Many of them are workers in danger of exclusion, and many are immigrants. This company ensures them the entrance of the labor markets thanks to the organization. And well, they have a great success in this initiative because of their great capillarity of the collection points. They have more than 8,000 collected points around the country. And they have also 3 textile reuse and recycled plants in Spain, created between 2012 and 2014. So just to say that the big players of the Spanish fashion sector are really committed with the people while the supply chain is like a concern in terms of sustainability. But I think is something to point out because it's kind of different approach, especially when we have been talking about sustainability, always or most of the times refer to the planet, profits, or circularity, but what about the main players are people that are just making clothes. There are other players in the country, the small and medium businesses that should be studied. I mean, we just studied the big ones. of course, we think that, more sustainable legislation may stress the market, but at the same time has helped a lot to change practices, old practices. The translates that supply and value chain will get closer to origin. So for us as country, more often what Turkey, things are getting closer to origin. So that means that we have to keep working together with them as not only as stakeholders, but for partners. And of course, it's also a work in progress because we have to also integrate other players, countries, and markets. As you said, very international global market. So, and also just when say that credentials and warranty seals are compulsory, as it was mentioned before in other presentations. Especially to gain stakeholders' trust, because here, greenwashing is always a big danger. So we have been doing a big effort in this field, but companies have to keep working on it. That's it. You want something or if comments were